DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
You're tuned in to DJNTV Live with your host, Brian S. Red.
Yes, we are here. We are live. The pigeons are released. Or was it doves?
I don't know.
But that would just shit on your car. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I can't say that on our shows. Shh.
You can say anything you want.
We didn't say that. We didn't say that. All right. Good evening and welcome. We had a little issue with YouTube, and like 4 seconds before we were supposed to go live, it finally maybe did, maybe it didn't. Yeah, there we are.
We're here.
It is live. I'm seeing.
There they are. Someone's saying, "Hey, there they are."
Yay! Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to be all over. We're going to talk about some good, some bad, some ugly. But first, I want to talk about your day. This is
my week. So far, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're only 2 days into it, and he's already ready for the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm ready for a weekend.
So first, you were jury duty today? I saw a post.
Yeah. Jury duty. Yesterday and today, jury duty. It's over. I survived. Mm-hmm. It's over.
So what is, for those of us who haven't been involved or asked and such to participate in jury duty, and we don't care about the actual case itself, but what do you do? What happens?
Well, in Milwaukee, because it's a big city, I think it's probably different in smaller communities, but in Milwaukee, what they do is they get a big jury pool together. And I don't know, there's probably 200 people in this jury pool, and they all go in this auditorium, and they just randomly pick people from that pool, like I think it's 32 people at a time, to go into a courtroom. And once they get in there, the defense attorney and the prosecutor both kind of drill individuals on things, ask questions to see if there's going to be any bias one way or the other toward, the outcome of the case. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they choose 13 because there's an alternate. Because I was involved in a criminal case, and yeah, I was chosen. So I went through the entire process where, you heard the opening statements, you saw the witnesses come on the stand, and ultimately we had to do a guilty or not guilty verdict. There were 2 charges in our case. Mm-hmm. Had to be unanimous because it was a criminal case. And the one thing that did suck about the whole thing, I thought, was there was this one particular gentleman who was so sharp, older guy, and he was into it. You could tell he was into it. And as soon as everything was over with, they had, the defense rests and the prosecutor rests, and the judge is like, all right, here it is. This is what you got to do. You got to go up in the jury room. You got to pick one person to kind of be the one who checks the boxes, guilty or not guilty, and kind of keeps track of things. You guys do it however you want. Figure it out. It's got to be unanimous. Oh, and by the way, since there's 13 of you, you all showed up. No problem. One of you can go. We're going to pick a number out of this Batman helmet that they had.
Okay.
And that's the juror that's going to leave. And it was that guy who was so into it. So he sat through the thing and didn't even get to, cast his opinions on things.
Oh my. So he couldn't
But
even
it was,
discussion phase, because I'm guessing when you go back in the jury's all together, there's talk amongst you to, why I think this person's guilty or not guilty, or?
Well, basically how it works, and this is interesting stuff, and I was really not happy about going in, but on the other hand, I did it, so it's something I can talk about now.
Mm-hmm.
In a criminal case, there are, it's got to be a unanimous decision on whether the charge is a guilty or not guilty charge. So, I mean, it's no big deal. I can talk about it because it's over. This was a assault and battery case.
Okay.
And there were two charges. One was assault and battery, and the other one was what was it? Not disturbing the peace, but oh boy, the disorderly conduct. That's what it was. So there are a certain amount of things, questions for each charge that you have to figure out. So like in our case, like number one was, do you believe that the person actually, did the thing, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was, do you believe the person caused harm? Second one was, do you believe the person meant to cause harm? And the fourth, there were two more, right?
Sure.
Those were the big things. You have to answer yes to all of these questions before you can come up with a guilty verdict. If only one question is no, it's not guilty. So in our case, it was a situation where it's like, do we believe harm was caused? Yes. Do we believe that he intended to cause harm? The answer was no. It was clearly no. So we could, he's not guilty, which was interesting. I mean, it doesn't matter if the other three were a hard yes. If one was no, it's not guilty. So, that's kind of how it works. So you have to look at the charge and then go through all four of the questions, answer them, either yes or no, and they all have to be, like I said, they all have to be yes to be a guilty verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Only one has to be no to be a not guilty verdict.
Wow.
It was interesting, So you have to kind of go around the room and talk about it. It's like, okay, first charge. First of all, and our guy who we picked as kind of the leader, he kind of made it simple. He's like, all right, so before we even get into this, does anybody feel like we got a guilty anywhere? And no one raised their hands. Like, well, we got to go through it anyway. Well, one guy did. One guy, he's like, yeah, I think he is. Then as soon as we went through the questions on number two, he's like, yes, yeah. You gotta have all yeses, and this is definitely a no. So it's a not guilty. So our guy was, he went.
Sure.
Nobody went to jail today.
And you had
on our court.
And you had 2 days of this process.
Yeah. I was the second group to come out of the pool yesterday morning, and it was relatively early. We went in at 9, and I think I went into the pool at about 10:15. And so really the trial actually started after we went through the whole elimination process thing at about 1:00. And we were wrapped at about 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to come back in today because there was one witness that they couldn't find to testify. And there were actually a couple more things that came up we had to sit through. We were out of there by noon.
Okay.
With the verdict. It was interesting, though. It was very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I've not. And yeah, they do have a stipend of some sort for jury duty. Somebody was asking about payment. They pay a lot.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's like $8 in the morning and $8 in the afternoon. It's like it barely pays for your parking in the city of Milwaukee. But yeah, apparently they're going to send me a check for like, $24 or whatever. Like, I give a shit.
and then they send you a bill because of your parking.
I don't care. You can have it back. But yeah, they give you a couple bucks. But it was interesting, and it was cool what the judge said, because I'm thinking, whatever. I really don't want to be here, and I didn't. I was going to get a doctor's excuse because I really don't need to be walking up and down stairs and all that crap, like I was having to do in this old courthouse we were in. But I did it, And the judge said, you guys served your country today. I went to Vietnam. You were in jury today. You've served your country. If anybody ever asks you if you served your country, you say yes, because you did.
That's
So that was kind of cool to hear. Everyone was very nice, and everybody in the courthouse through the entire process, it was really interesting. They had nothing but respect for the jury. Like, the jury got the most respect of anyone else.
I'll be darned.
When you walk into the courtroom, all rise for the jury. When you get up and leave, all rise for the jury. Everybody was super, super cool to us and patient. We had a great group, though. I think that our particular panel of jurors, I think everybody was real strong, and it was a good group. We didn't have any knuckleheads in there.
Sure.
You figure you're going to, just 12 random people. Someone's going to be stupid, but no, we had a really nice, cool jury panel. I would have gone to, get wings with everybody afterwards if we talked about it, because everybody was just really cool.
Very neat. Yeah,
it was interesting. It was very interesting. I don't know that everybody has it as interesting as I had it. Sometimes you end up with a civil case. Sometimes you end up in children's courts. It's different in a civil case. I think in a civil case, you have to have 10 out of 12. In family court, it's got to be 5 out of 6, because there's only a 6-panel jury in family court. But in a criminal case, it's a 12-person jury, and it's got to be unanimous. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, very much so. Good. Well, that gave us a little bit of an update for those of you who are wondering. It wasn't DJ related, but it was.
If you didn't care about that, I'm really sorry I wasted 12 minutes of your time.
Yeah, but it was interesting. It was interesting. That's for those of us who've never been there and done that. It was.
I will flip this into a DJ thing, though.
There you go.
Because, when you go into the room initially, once you're picked as a juror, what you have to, or even before that, you have to stand up. You have to state your name. You have to state your marital status, how many children you have if you have any kids. I'm sorry, your name, where you live, your marital status, whether you have children or not, and how many, your occupation, and your hobbies.
Okay. You
also have to state whether or not you've served in a jury. And then there are several following up questions for that. It's on the board, so you just read it,
Sure.
And everybody got up and said it. Of all people to get up and get nervous, I was the guy who screwed it up. They hand you a microphone, you pick it, you stand up and you say it. But for some reason, I think it was because I was tired, I stood up, my stroke arm was going stupid because I'm not, awake or whatever, like I should be, or not at my best. And I stumbled through the questions. I felt like a really bad best man toast, is what it felt like. And I couldn't believe it. Out of everybody, I was the one who botched it. I thought.
Yeah.
And when they say occupation, what do I say for that? I've got the weirdest job in the world. I do YouTube videos for DJs, and I DJ, and then no. So I just said marketing, and for hobbies, I said music and cars. It just came out. So I didn't know what to say, because I have a weird job. I write for DJ News and go through all that shit. Nobody cares.
That's funny.
But somebody got DJ out of that. And somebody else, 2 other people in the panel said they were DJs. And one other person ended up on the jury with me. And we have downtime because they send you up to the room and sit there while they do whatever they do for 20 minutes at a time. Then you come back in. So one guy said, well, you're a DJ. I'm like, yeah. Well, what station? The old guy says.
Yeah.
Well, then the other guy, the cool guy, the hipster who lives in my neighborhood is like, yeah, man, I need to get some Pioneer, DDJ blah blah blahs, and I don't know which one to get because the Mark II, and it's almost like he's drilling me at this point, like challenging me. Like, well, yeah, I consult with Pioneer. I know Christian Beng. He does all the firmware for that stuff and whatever. Well, what's the difference? Well, why is Pioneer different from any other company? I'm like, do they really want me to start going on this? Do they really want me to open my mouth?
Mm-hmm.
They pushed me. So you know what? I just laid into it. Well, Pioneer is actually a Japanese company, and they have the Japanese business model. It's a little different than us. They understand karaoke and club, but they're not really hip on the mobile DJ. For instance, their EQ on the microphone, it's high and low, which is odd because what is mid-range on an EQ? I think it's vocal. Oh yeah, well of course, yeah. Well, they don't have that on the mixer. You know why? Because they don't understand mobile DJs. And it's made in Malaysia, which is different. Most things are made in China. And in Malaysia, they have their own factory. And they brought a bunch of people in from Pioneer TV. Remember the plasmas? I went on and on and on. Made them sorry they even asked me any question. I just riffed on it. And I gave it everything. And I had fun with it. It was cool. The guy was like, oh. Because I think they thought I was bullshitting them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Because I was trying not... I don't like to be that guy... Like, have you ever gone to a party or something? There's a guy there. Let's say he's into airplanes, for instance, okay? And he corners you and tells you everything about airplanes and his love of airplanes and won't shut up and you don't care about airplanes. I don't want to be that guy with DJing or music or anything else. I'll say I do it or I'm into it or whatever, and I leave it at that. Let's talk about our kids. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
They pushed. And I tried so hard just to resist that. But yeah, he I don't know if he knows more about Pioneer than he ever wanted to know, or he completely tuned it out, or he thought I was an insane person. I don't know which. But it was early. It was like 10:30 in the morning, and I didn't need the push.
And you got you wound up that early. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Funny.
Oh, Barr said Pioneer is dope AF though. It's funny that he does the AF, which of course we know what that is. I didn't realize you could drop F-bombs in court, because on every court show I've ever seen, whenever somebody says anything, hey, watch your language in my court, you've seen that, right?
Yeah, certainly.
No, you can say any damn thing you want in court. You can drop F-bombs.
Really?
You can do combos.
A combo,
like yeah, like the MF. You can totally do that, like repetitively if you want to, and no one blinks.
So were they using it in the context of making a point?
They were quoting.
Okay.
They were quoting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I get you've got to quote accurately. I can see that.
Well, there was one person who was quoting and doing as Barr did in here, where he was saying AF. There was a lot of that, but then. Most just kind of let it all hang out with punctuation in the voice. It was
putting the stress on the syllables.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well now that Mikey Mike's here, we can get started on our show.
Absolutely, I cannot. Yeah,
because we're waiting for you, Mikey, and now
hey.
So it's time to talk. We're going to go through some things that. Are some of the thoughts that are prevalent amongst some DJs out there that, and I'm gonna present these different little scenarios of these different little thoughts, and we're gonna talk about a few of them. We're not gonna get through all of the list, but there's quite a few.
Okay.
One I want to start with, Ryan, is one that you were kind of referring to in a video I think about 2 weeks ago, where the basically that there's some DJs out there who think that basically if you don't use turntables, you're not a DJ. If you don't use Serato, you're not a DJ. If you don't use this, you're not a DJ. And they get so incredibly defensive and pissy with other people because you aren't a real DJ because you're not using this, that, or the other thing. And in your video, you went and talked about that if that's what how did you put it? If that's what you're basing your
Oh, that wasn't even a video. That was just something I posted on Facebook.
Okay. So I'm trying to remember exactly how you did that.
I worded it and it was one of those things that I don't like. I don't like it when people just have random thoughts and tweet them on the toilet at 3 a.m. and then press send for the world to see. That was one of those moments with me though, when I just had a thought and I just typed it out and hit enter. And it was something to the effect of, if turntables or a controller is the thing that separates you from a guy with a laptop, then you were a shitty DJ anyway, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's true. I mean, if there's a guy with a laptop on iTunes or Winamp or whatever playing music, and this is a threat to your livelihood with turntables and a controller. Well, you're not bringing much to the table with your turntables and a controller. you kind of suck anyway.
For sure. We had a guy in a chat room last week with one of the other shows, and he was talking about that he is the hottest DJ in his area because he has this turntable and this mixer and this piece. It was basically going through his list of gear and such, and and it's like I don't know if this youngster or this person was a kid or an adult because their profile wasn't complete, of course, on YouTube.
Yeah,
but it's like that isn't. I don't think I've ever had anyone come up to me and say, "Oh, wow, you're a really good DJ," or "You suck because you've got that controller," or "You're using a controller." It doesn't. Maybe in a club situation. I know MJ's talked about it. There are some clubs that basically that you've got to use this if you want to be here. I get that, but for most mobile DJs, I think it's just a completely asinine statement to.
Well, for most DJs, period, the club can have their own rules for whatever reason, but the people at the club who are there as patrons do not care. I don't think they care. Whatever. I mean, the club rule, some DJ made the rule at the club, or a guy who is a DJ or is just a fanboy owns the club or something, because that's just ridiculous. I've told this story before. When I was about 20, maybe, I did this big event where there was a band, a really hot band in one corner of the room. Really, really good, popular local band. And then I was in the other corner of the room with like the junkiest, Radio Shack special you've ever seen in your life with a crate of 45s, no lights, speakers on the floor, just junk, And I was to play the band breaks. That was my job.
Sure.
And nobody expected anything from me. I'm using Radio Shack turntables, Radio Shack mixing board. The speakers were just garbage, all mid-range, sounded terrible. I had no lighting. The band definitely had more power than I had. They could be louder than me. There were, the front man was humorous and really good, and the singer was good, just good musicians. And I owned him that night. With what I had in that corner, I owned it. I had a better response on the dance floor. I was able to, I guess, as far as, anybody tried to, whipping on me, the band saying, things about me, I was able to do comebacks that made me the hero.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't even trying. I killed it, Excuse me. Despite the lack of Technics 1200s or a line array or lighting even, I killed it because I had that particular night. I just had what it took. Now, if I would have been there that night with the 1200s and the light show and a premium sound system, it would have been even better. I'll give you that. But that didn't make or break me. I still made it without that stuff.
So did you kill it, as in your words there, because of your microphone and personality, or because of your music programming, or was it a combination of the two?
It's always a combination of it. I mean, it's never just one thing, and that's, I mean, it's a package.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the talent? As a 20-year-old in that room at that time with that crowd, I had it.
Sure. I
had something the band didn't have. I was the underdog, and I blew them away.
So you were,
a lot of it might have been, in all fairness, a lot of it might have been, we're talking about, when I was 20 years old, what was this, 91? So we're talking about Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer versus me having the 12-inch of Tone Looks Wild thing and the 12-inch of Ice Ice Baby, which the band could not do, but I could do.
Certainly.
So that was helpful. But there were other things too, It was a combination of everything. In fact, that particular job I did got me hired at a different company because the videographer who was there worked for this bigger multi-op, more premium multi-op, and he saw me. He's like, "Man, you have to come work for me."
Mm-hmm.
And I think like 2 months later, I ended up doing just that, coming to work for that company for a little while. And then that turned into a lot of club work, more club work than I had before. But yeah, the equipment didn't matter. I mean,
So
if you're really good or solid and you have the equipment, you're even better.
Right.
You sound better. You've got the advantage. If you've got a light show that makes sense, and you can, make those visual representations of your music and make it even more exciting, and the sound's full and even more stimulating, even better. But if all you have is stimulating sound and a stimulating light show, if you're not using it right, it means nothing at all. It's just like, I think of that movie Crossroads, if you remember that movie from way back.
No way.
With Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, Karate Kid guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was Pat Morita. It was who the hell was it? I don't remember. I know that it was Ralph Macchio. He was a guitar player, and he had this real expensive, fancy guitar and all this. He was a classical guitar player, and they had to pawn it or something and end up with a crappy one. He played just as good with the crappy one, if not even better. It didn't matter how expensive the guitar was. It mattered how he could play it. And that's exactly how it is with, what we do, or anything that you do. Just because I've got better tools than you doesn't mean you're a better mechanic than I am, Or doesn't mean I'm a better mechanic than you.
1986 movie there.
Just because I have a more expensive car than you doesn't mean, that I'm a better driver than you are.
Yeah. And that's really the point I wanted to, is that those are just part of the process. Those are the tools, and it's in this case, of your example, the music programming and your personality coming across the microphone and working with the crowd and connecting with the crowd.
Right.
That is what really sold them on that.
Yeah, it just worked. That night it worked. And, I don't know that it worked any night. It hasn't worked every time I've played with a band. Sometimes I've been with bands and they've just owned it. You got a crowd situation. You've got a content situation. How strong is the band? How well is the band connecting with the audience? How well can I connect with the audience? But yeah, it's a skill thing. It's not a equipment thing. If you've got the equipment and the skill, then you're amazing, because that's the best of both. It's more than just equipment. You got to have the skill behind it.
All right, let's jump to our next one. A lot of DJs have been sharing, of course, the Amazon links to different lighting and things, because I have seen time and time again people saying that DJ gear is just too expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, that one's fun.
And something that I do a video about as an example, the new flat power pack, the Hex pack. Nice little uplight, and they got a nice price on it. And of course, one of the first people that comment on it says, "Oh, why would you buy that when you can go here and buy a similar one on Amazon? Because ADJ lights are just too darn expensive."
Yeah, that quality control and
that's
warranty just ain't worth it.
Yeah, that's the part I want to talk about. Is they may have, there's more of an investment to buy, but there's a reason for that. And let's run through. You mentioned quality control. For those who have no idea what you're talking about, give them an idea of what that means.
Okay, so this has to do with making sure that the factory that's actually producing these lights are doing it in a way where the integrity of the light is good. Because what they'll do is, it's just like anything else. The more you spend on something, the more it's going to cost. The less you spend on something, the less it's going to cost. And if you're going to sell it for, a certain price, you want to spend as little as possible on it, right? You spend as little as you can and you make as much as you can. That's just how it works.
Right.
So when these factories in China are building these lights, you can either be the company that has somebody there on the line and they're saying, you know what, these solders are not right. This board is cheap. These diodes are not grade A. You have to rebuild this light. This is not what we agreed on. There are other companies that just say, yeah, build me that and put my name on it and ship it to me. We're not going to do the quality control part. Or there are companies that aren't even companies. They're just guys in China who are just shipping you the cheapest product they could possibly build.
Yeah.
Corners are cut somewhere. It's just like with your DJ business. If you are charging, okay, let's just give a stupid number, $200 per gig, you're cutting corners somewhere. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you are. You're cutting corners on your product. You're not spending the money to get the premium stuff or even the brand name stuff. You're getting the stuff that doesn't even have quality control on it. You're getting the stuff that could fail on you, that has no warranty. Those are the corners you're cutting to keep your price super low.
Yep.
Same with any of the products we buy. Behringer, I don't care what it looks like and how the layout is not the same as Pioneer.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the same as Pioneer or Rain or Denon. It's not. By design, it's not. That's not to say you can't get lucky with the product that says Behringer on it, because you absolutely can. You can. But the odds are that you're going to have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a hum somewhere. Something's not going to be quite right. And the reason it's not going to be right is because corners were cut somewhere. You're not just paying for a name. You're paying for the quality control of the product. You're paying for the research and development of the product. And you're also paying for the warranty of the product.
Yep.
And if something goes wrong, someone's standing behind this product. So we talked about battery powered lighting, right? Lithium batteries are what goes into these lights. And they're very stable. Lithium batteries are very safe. They're using them in Tesla cars or whatever. They are at their most vulnerable in the charging state. Now, if by chance, for any reason at all, your battery becomes unstable while charging, right? And there's a fire or something. I mean, wouldn't you feel bad about that? Mm-hmm. In your home, anywhere else? And especially if you have no one to point the finger at. If you have no one to say, hey, your light caught on fire. The guy who sold you this stuff off eBay in China does not care.
Mm-hmm. Not a bit.
He doesn't care. Well, tough. He's not even going to send. He's not going to help you out with any of your damages, let alone send you a new light. He doesn't care. There's no warranty on it. You're gonna be less likely to have that problem with your brand name stuff. Not to say nothing's perfect, but the odds are it ain't gonna happen. It's important.
I was having a conversation with someone from the lighting industry earlier today, and we were talking about failure rates, and this person was at LDI and talking to, because I've shared this on other shows, that these big trade shows, you have your U.S.-based companies, whether it's the hardware show or if it was the Green Industries show or LDI or NAMM. You've got the ADJs, the Chauvet's, the companies that are based in the U.S. that are importing product. Then you have some of these direct importers who are showing up as players at these shows. And he was going around to some of these booths and talking to them. And in ADJ and Chauvet, Blizzard and such, they figured there's about a 2% failure rate is kind of the number that is kind of out there. That's what it is. He was talking to some of these companies, and they're planning to send, if he would have ordered a shipment, that they send 15% over, because they have about a 7 to 10% failure rate on their lights. And that's from the manufacturer basically just telling that this is what happens with us because of not using quality components or whatever the other reasoning is behind it.
I remember at one time, and this was a long time ago, somebody told me that Sony had a 70% failure rate at a retailer. 70%.
I wonder what product that was. Wow.
Well, it was through the whole range. It was 70%. It was an insane number.
Wow.
But it didn't matter because all you had to do was bring it back to the store and get another one. That was the deal. And they were making such a hit on this stuff from skipping the quality control that they didn't care.
I'll be darned. It'll be interesting to know exactly.
This was a very long time ago. Mm-hmm. This was 25 years ago. That was actually happening. I used to go to the Sony outlet all the time.
Yeah.
To get CD players, even
I was
for
just going to say, I bet Nicola was a CD player, because we had a lot of CD players that we went through, and we would get them. And Best Buy, we'd go and pay $129 or whatever it was for the CD player, and you'd get half of them home and We would buy 3 at a time, needing 2.
Yeah, well, see what I'm talking about then.
And, so that could have easily been CD players that were having that high failure rate.
Now, I used to go to the outlet, and I'd pay less for the product, but I knew it would work because it had come back as a fail. Some technician had fixed it and put it in the outlet store. So I at least knew it went through some kind of quality control step that whatever was at Best Buy didn't get. And I got it more reasonable than that. The quality control was some poor guy had to go there, buy it, bring it home, and find out it didn't work. That was the quality control. And then the tech fixed whatever the problem was and put it on the shelf at the outlet. I never had to bring anything back that I bought at the outlet. Everything was fine. But the stuff that I bought at Best Buy, I had to send it back.
Yeah, I bet that was exact.
So, I don't know. It's weird. And the other thing is, I don't know. I just don't see skimping on some of this stuff. I don't understand why you would do it, especially with the return on investment. If you're doing things right and running it as a business, why would you compromise quality anywhere? Why would you do it? I mean, I understand it's foolish just to spend money just to spend it. Why spend more than you have to? I totally get that. That's just being a smart consumer. You got to shop around. You got to make wise buying decisions based on a lot of things. But just to go to the cheap route all the time drives me nuts. And I know people do it.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts. Why are you doing this? Oh, I know why. Because you're charging ridiculously low prices for your services. That's why you're doing it. If you charge the amount of money you're supposed to be charging, you wouldn't have to buy this junk for your mobile system.
Well, that kind of segues to the next one. And there's a few more things I wanted to talk about with gear, but you just segued us to the next one. So we're going to do that. Another frustration, this is actually on a video we did last night, is I had a couple of messages, one of which I went back and forth and talked to the guy a little bit. But DJs don't value their time, their knowledge, and their ability enough to charge what even... Last night we were talking about that there's times where you would go out for this amount, and there's times where you wouldn't go out for whatever amount, depending upon the situation and such. And I had people who were like, what? Don't you DJ? Wouldn't you go out and DJ just because you love it, just to help them out? And it's like, wait a second. My time, and as I explained it, is that my time away from my family in the middle of the summer on a Saturday, which I could be out there at the lake, I could be out in the boat, whatever, sit out in the front yard and roast hot dogs. That time is incredibly valuable to me. I'm not going to go out for a lower rate at that time of the year because it either is premium rate or I'm at home because of the value I'm putting on that time. Even today, at this time of the year, there's a value on my time. I'm not going to go out just because I love to DJ, which I do enjoy performing, but I'm not going to go and sit and do a bar for $50 in a faraway town because I love to DJ and I can go do that. That's the way it is. And yet I almost feel like I was being chastised and bastardized because of what? You're not going to go and perform just because of your love of performing and helping folks?
Well, yeah, I guess you're either running it as a business or you're in the hobby or learning stages of things. I guess it's fair to say that if somebody came to me and said, I got a venue where everybody in this venue wants to hear music from Prince and Prince-related artists from 1980 through 1994, and it's a $50 payable, but these people really want to hear this stuff and they want to get down, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, that's an unusual.
Just because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I would just go and do it. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to bring my big rig. Hopefully I can go and just plug into an existing system. But I would grab my records and I would go. Because that sounds cool to me. It's like being a guitar player. I just want to jam sometimes.
Yeah,
so I guess I get that. But to just go out for anything, for any reason and do it, it seems odd to me. But I guess, I don't know, everybody's got a different journey. And I try to, at least get people thinking about what they're doing. If somebody is struggling to buy a light or to buy a controller or to justify, spending money on something that they need for their business, yet they're not charging anything for their services, that's when I step up and say, hey, hold on, wait a minute. What are you charging? Why are you charging this? Okay, your customers are demanding gobos and this and that or whatever. And this is what you're charging. This doesn't make any sense. On the other hand, if you're a hobby guy and you're doing it for fun and you're not really worried about these demands for gobos and uplighting and,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, just jam and enjoy yourself. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm only here to help people who have hit a brick wall and maybe try to help them realize why they've hit that wall. But if your intention was to just jam, then jam. I don't know. Well, who am I to tell them not to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it certainly is a prerogative. But I think it's one of those things that for some people...
Hold on a second. Sit down! Sorry.
Yeah, we just don't. We don't know who that was that he was yelling at, so we'll go from there.
Sit down.
This is when the dungeon is in the basement below a 100-and-some-year-old house, is it?
Almost, yeah. 100 and what year is it? 107-year-old house.
I was going to say, I thought it was about 105, so about 107-year-old house. So that's
built in 1905.
That's what you get.
That's what you get.
You hear a creaky floor.
Yes.
Let's see. There was another one I wanted to make sure.
My God, which part of sit down didn't you understand?
Another area that I've been seeing is because DJs at the end of the wedding season are starting to post pictures from their summer events. And one that just always makes me kind of, I don't know if I want to cringe or laugh or cry to some extent, is where you have a picture of the DJ and they take a picture with a couple, which I think is a fabulous idea. But it's like they've set the picture up or somehow, but you look at the picture and it's like it seems that the DJ is the center of the day. And I've seen you've taken pictures with clients and such, and you're staging in such of your picture. It's basically like doing a selfie, and there wasn't anything that just made you stand out more than just hey, here's a couple of happy people, and we're all together and smile. And you see some DJ pictures where it's like, they get the bride and groom who are kind of like little timid people hiding in the corner, and the DJ is this big bold personality, that's doing their thing, and it's just I think to myself is like, okay. If I'm a bride that's looking, or I'm a future potential client for this person, I'm going to look at this and think this DJ is thinking that they're all this and a lot more, and it's that they're the it's obviously it's his day and the bride and groom were just there along for the ride to some point, or her day and just the bride and groom are along for the ride. And I guess when you have approached and you've done some things like that, how do you keep from stealing the spotlight and becoming that center of the attention and keeping the focus where it belongs?
It depends on what kind of entertainer you are, to be fair. And you and I are very similar in the regard that we want to be there providing a service, and we want to almost like, and I've compared it to like the salsa dancing, where the guy leads the girl and his job is to make her look great. That's his job. It's not for him to show off his dancing. Nobody cares about how the guy dances. Everybody wants to watch the girl twirl around and shake it and everything else. And it's the guy's job to lead her and make her look good. That's the kind of DJ you and I are. And I know that about you. We've talked, we know each other. You know me, I know you. That's what we're doing. We're leading the room, but we're not showboating in any way, shape, or form. Now, there are some people out there who I've seen that have no, I guess, no right to try to take the spotlight away from anyone because they're not that good. I've seen this. I'm not going to call anybody out on this, but I've seen it. And then on the other hand, there are other people out there who are that personality. Like when they get hired, they're hired to be that personality. There's a guy in town right here. He goes by Downtown Harrison, and he puts on a show. He's a legend. He does a lot of karaoke DJ stuff, but he's a bodybuilder. He's just this big rip buff guy. He does a Mr. Roboto routine where he dresses like a robot and he's got a little zoot as well. Bzz, 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 bzz. And then he does this Tina Turner Proud Mary thing, and he does this Louis Armstrong What a Wonderful World thing. He's got several characters that he plays throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw a picture with him being a character with a client, that would be completely appropriate, in my opinion.
Sure.
Sparky B is a larger than life entertainer. If you've ever seen him on stage at the Mobile Beat shows or at Expo or in the booth, that's who Sparky B is. So if Sparky B was trying to downplay that with some people, you probably wouldn't even know it was Sparky. It was like, who's that guy? You got to see the face and the, it's like, oh, that's Sparky B.
Yep.
So I really think it depends on your brand of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I guess that would be a fair thing, because we wouldn't want to have Sparky B, as an example, being that really passive that is matching.
Right. That wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. And that would be really, to a point, misleading for people who are like, well, geez, he seems like such an outgoing, and then I look at these pictures and he's just this really calm and passive. And so, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So the subtitle of this show should be BSR Teaches John Young Empathy in the upside down world of this show. The parallel universe that is DJNTV. Yeah. So that's how I see it.
Sure. That makes sense. I get that. It doesn't fit my style, of course. And as
no, it doesn't fit in mine.
Yep.
Not anymore. When I was younger, I think it might have. But I've learned to step back and not rely on this as much, because I used to. Now I'm just really relying on my music programming skills and my timing more so than my, hey, everybody. I'm not that guy anymore. We're doing the DJ Video Cave, right? And there are people who turn the camera on every day and do video. And they're like, hey, man, I got this question. How do I do this or this? You got other people in the cave who turn on the camera. Hey, everybody, it's Bob from blah, blah, blah sound. And no. It's like, whoa, hold on a second, Were you trying to sell something to me? What's going on here? Just be you, But that's who they are. That's the personality, And it takes all kinds. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that some people are like you and I. Some people are a little different. So if we were all the same, we'd be boring.
Yep, that it would. That it would. Okay, probably the last question we're going to have some time for tonight is talking about music. Specifically, okay. I with the whole streaming and such that is going down, that you've got DJs who basically feel that the future of music, of course, is the streaming, and why should we be paying for music when we can get it from a different source? Yeah. So let's dig into that one just a little bit.
Well, for one, the music has been vetted. And what I mean by that is people like Nick Hahn over at Promo Only are giving you the clean version of the track. Mm-hmm. They're not giving you the junk version. The other thing is you're getting the premium file. You can get this in, I think they offer a Wave or FLAC or something at Promo Only. You can get it like that. You can get it 320K. You're getting a premium audio file. Now, when you're trying to make your sound system sound good, you need a really solid, clean audio stream. The audio chain needs to be solid all the way through. If you get a weak link in there, it's going to compromise the quality of your sound. You're not going to get this on your typical stream consistently. You might get it on a track or two, but not every track. So if you're going through a music service, it's offering you premium music files as far as the sound quality goes, and again, vetting part where this is the clean version or the radio edit or the familiar version or not the goofy remix that nobody knows and you didn't mean to play. That means something to me. That's the point. I mean, the pools it's promotional stuff. You're paying for the service of getting this stuff. You're not particularly paying for the music. You're paying for the service of having the music provided to you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a record pool, right?
Yep.
So, that's what you're ultimately paying for. That's what it is. I don't like the streaming for other reasons that I won't get into tonight. But that's a big deal. And it's not only that, but you're supporting your industry. Why on earth would you rely on a stream for music? Again, when for not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, you can have a service provided to you, giving you music specifically for what you do, giving you the tools you need to do what you do.
Yep.
The versions you need, the edits you need, all that stuff. Again, why are we skimping? Why are we cutting corners? Why? That's the part I don't understand.
And I think a number of years ago, I don't know how far back it was, the rumor going around or the word going around was that why should I pay to be a part of these pools? Because these pools aren't paying for any licensing to a point because it was all sent to them for promotional purposes. And there was a level of truth to that. But in the last, I'm going to say probably the last 2 years, that has changed. That companies like Promo Only and pretty much all the legal licensed companies are now paying some royalty fees to the licensing companies to help pay for music, because all these businesses in this realm are suffering and they're trying to find ways to raise revenue. And
Sure.
And the idea that these companies, Promo Only and Top Hits USA and such, they're like, okay, if we spend and we pay them, kind of voluntarily pay them for using their music, maybe they'll enforce it and shut some of these other companies down that aren't doing that. Hasn't worked quite that way yet, but when you're saying that you're supporting the industry and you're supporting the music and tools that we use, that is definitely an accurate statement now compared to 5 years ago.
I mean, I wasn't even trying to get political about it. I mean, you know, how excuse me. All of a sudden, I woke up and I mean, it's forget about all that for a minute. Think about what you're getting for the service. Think about the services being provided to you for the money you're paying. That's valuable to me. It's valuable to me that I know that I have the edit that I need of this track. I don't have the goofy album version. I don't have the wiki remix I wasn't looking for. And if I'm looking for a remix, I have the one I need.
Yeah.
I'm not just at somebody else's mercy as to what they've uploaded to stream. And the streaming quality is crap. I did a video a while back where I was streaming SiriusXM through my phone into like an ELS Go APT. And it sounded like ass.
Really?
And it sounded terrible. I was streaming like something solid too, like the Chill channel, which is newer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I played an MP3 off of VDJ through my computer, just out of the headphone jack into the ELS Go APT, and it sounded pretty good.
Sure.
I mean, it was a big sound difference. So there is a difference when you're talking about streaming versus audio files. If you don't care what your system sounds like, do what you want. I mean, there's some people who just don't care. As long as it makes noise, that's enough for them. If you care about your audio chain and you want to get the best sound possible, even if you're not using premium or the best equipment, you still want to, try to take some of those weak links in your chain and make them stronger. One way you can do it is not stream. You can go ahead and just have that MP3 and play it. Yeah, that's going to make a huge difference.
Oh, and when you're talking about quality of the MP3s or the tracks, as Ben was, he said on numerous shows, garbage in, garbage out. And if I'm putting in a 128 MP3 that's been hashed and rehashed and compressed, it's not going to sound the same as.
Some people are going to want to go FLAC. Some people want to go WAV. Even better, I'm cool with a solid 320K MP3. I'm good with that. That's good enough for me. You could go better, but at least that is great. But if you go down a grade or several grades in the case of streaming most of the time, it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done this. Have you had the radio on in your car, listen to the radio, and then you play a CD, like a store-bought CD? You heard the sound difference in that? It's incredible.
I can't even think of the last time I played a CD.
Well, okay, I don't do that, but what I do is I have an SD card that I pop 320K MP3s
Nice.
on. And I'm playing that against my Sirius XM.
Mm-hmm.
Night and day.
Wow.
Night and day. Classic rock, for instance, if you listen to any classic rock, I like it. I like listening to old, tracks that you hear repetitively on classic rock stations. I enjoy some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've put some of those tracks on 320K MP3 remastered stuff on these SD cards intentionally because it's a completely different experience than listening to it on the radio. Completely different.
Oh, yeah.
You hear things that you don't hear on the radio. The clarity is amazing. Especially those older tracks. They were recorded so well. Some of those producers, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they
amazing.
really put the time into it to make it
But
right.
that doesn't come through on the radio broadcast. It does come through on the file. On the even the 320 MP3 file. It comes through. It's a completely different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine what that is to your DJ sound system.
Oh, for sure.
Without getting political about it. There you go. Plus the right versions. Plus the vetting of the tracks. Plus, I don't listen to Top 40 Radio. I don't know how many people in here are on Kiss FM every day. I'm sure someone is. I'm not. So when I go to an event and somebody says, do you have the new, whatever track?
Yep.
I don't know. But I do know that Promo only sent it to me, so I have it.
Exactly. And if it says clean edit, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
And if I'm not, I'm not sure about this track. So what I can do is go into my downloaded, top 40 sheets in the different charts that I've, been able to obtain through these music services to say, oh, I guess that's number 2 on the pop charts right now. I guess it's probably okay to play. It's these kind of tools that make all the difference to me. So,
Good. I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight.
I hope it didn't suck.
No, we got to cover quite a few areas, and we covered some of the DJ thoughts and such. I wanted to share some different thoughts and ideas. Yeah, see, the Sirius radio in our car, but then the car's got a really high-end sound system. So even the digital AM radio sounds fabulous in the car.
Bar's asking if my Sirius sounds bad. No, my Sirius does not sound bad, but my files sound better.
Mm-hmm. On a couple of streaming services I have, you have the lower end one where it's basically like a 96 or 128 MP3 equivalent. And then, of course, if you have the premium, you get the 320 down the stream. And there is a night and day difference, boy. I've played with it. I hooked it up at one of my events, and I hit that, and it's like, gosh, that sounds like crap. And I looked at my phone, and it was a 3G connection, which means it defaults to the slower bit rate. And oh yeah, there definitely is a big difference on that, and that's how these apps work, so that they can still utilize the stream.
Yeah. So
it's very possible, very, very possible.
I don't know. It's worth it. Just buy your damn music.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can get the cost of music and such is so much, such a small investment from the days when we used to go spend $100 at Best Buy on a Friday afternoon because we needed it for the weekend. Oh,
I'm thinking about being, not a DJ as a teen with the music that I loved. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine the 80s if we had a service like Promo Only in the 1980s?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Can you imagine? You know how much that crap would be worth today? Holy man. Yeah, I absolutely need, June 1983. I need that. That is so important that I have that. And it's worth $20,000 and nobody can buy it because it's so goddamn good.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been amazing. We didn't have it, but if somebody told me even back then, yeah, for $50 a month, you know how much money we spent on music back then? Oh my god.
Yeah, just going to the CD thing. Going, you pick up 5 CDs at Best Buy and they were $14.99 a piece.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. It was easily $100 a week that I was dropping in CDs because there'd be a new one that came out on Tuesday, and there was another new one that came out. Yeah, And a lot
Sounded good, but it was expensive.
It was expensive. And then, we've talked about this before, the Columbia House or the BMG music services where you have the membership and then you get another membership and then another.
Somebody asked what year promo only started. I think it was 92.
Yeah, I was going to say it was early 92, 93, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
And they really came onto the mobile DJ scene. A lot of mobile DJs found out about them through
94?
It had been 96 when maybe 94, somewhere in there when Mobile Beat started. Is because they were big in Mobile Beat, and that's where a lot of us found them for the first time. Yeah.
Look at the comment.
Thank you, Baby Jesus, for promo. Yeah, okay.
Baby Jesus had promo only, and he was thankful.
If you guys aren't familiar with the Baby Jesus, you got to watch. Is it Talladega Nights?
Yeah.
Is that where it was?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. And I didn't watch that one for the longest time, and I think it was like last spring. For some reason, it was one of those recommendations on Netflix or what have you. And
Somebody said 92 on the website. They just celebrated 25 years. Glenn put up some posts about that. It's 25 years of promo only. So.
Yeah. But I think when they first started, were they doing DJ mobile?
Club. I think it was
Club. It was Club. Yeah, I don't think it was the mobile, the wedding guy at first. I think
it was CD and it was Club though.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was early and then in a short period of time, and then a little bit later in the 90s came out these things with the big compilations.
And the covers of those things, I used to see the premium DJs in the market. They'd have the promo onlys. I'd see them in their offices and things. That just looked like the coolest contraband ever.
Yep.
Like, what is that?
That's awesome.
And the graphics were just like very punk. Sometimes they had like the old RKO radio antenna on them or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like flat black with white letters. Sexy. Sexy.
And the part when they would have like an unusual mix on it. They would have all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, where did you get that mix? Because again,
can I borrow it?
This was pre-internet days, so we did not have the ability to go and do a search in LimeWire or whatever else was the all the the one big one that ended up getting in trouble. Can't remember. It starts with an N. Napster. Napster was early. In the early 2000s, wasn't it? Late, I don't know. We went through that one particular night. So in that early 90s, none of this existed. So when we saw someone with a compilation CD like that, it's like, whoa. We went to the first DJ convention and Promo Only had all their discs out. And it's like, whoa, you could get all of these and not have to buy all of those? Yeah, it was something.
And it goes beyond even. I mean, Napster, the thing with that is you had to know what you were looking for. And that's my argument a lot when you're hand-picking tracks, even for download. You have to know what you're looking for. So you have to specifically type in, I want this song, I want this song, I want this song. With music services, just give you all the stuff.
Yeah.
You have it. And you can go through it and listen to it and sample them. And again, people can come up and ask you for something you never heard of before. You don't have to download it.
Yeah.
You got it already. You just play the damn thing. It's liberating. I like it.
Yeah, this makes it a lot easier. All right, thank you guys for being with us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, Wednesday night. We've got a couple of shows we'll be doing, a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock, we're going to look at some of the, do a little music show at 9 o'clock Eastern, and 10 o'clock, Jeremy and Dave will be wrapping us up before the big Thanksgiving break. So, Brian, have yourself a wonderful evening, and we will see you next Tuesday, my friend.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.